On the low, I don't talk a lot. You talk more shit than the beauty shop. We can get it poppin' like the parking lot. We can get it poppin' like the parking lot.
Yo, yo, yo! Guess who's back? It's your girl, Miss Phenom.
And it's your girl, Bonnie Stone, and you are now tuned into
Question the Culture.
Yeah.
So we coming through today. As you can see, we just out here doing what we got to do. My girl B Stone out here grinding, and she's still coming through to make sure we got a dope show for y'all. So we going to start it off like we always do with the honorable mentions, baby. And I'm excited about this. We going to start off in West Philadelphia, born and raised, Mr. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air himself is putting the mansion up for Airbnb, $30 a night. Fun fact is, the mansion is actually in Brentwood, 20 minutes out of Bel-Air. It's available for rent for 5 one-night stays in early October. However, it's only for Cali residents. This looks like it's a promo in light of the show's 30th anniversary reunion scheduled to air on Thanksgiving. And they brought the original Viv back.
I know, I had seen that. I said, oh shit, they done brought the darker than the paper bag. That's what I like to see.
Word. Now we got nurse Dawn Wooten, who worked at the housing for immigrants detained by ICE and has become known as the ICE whistleblower after alleging that hysterectomies were being performed on Spanish-speaking women. They also discussed medical negligence during the COVID pandemic and unsanitary conditions. Allegations are being investigated and she might fear for her life. She said she'd rather be a target speaking the truth than be part of an inhumane system. Wow. Yes, sister. Now, on to the stars of basketball. We got WNBA star Maya Moore, who married Jonathan Irons, a wrongfully convicted man she held free from prison. She met him when she was 18, and he was 16 when he was convicted for a home invasion and shooting, being sentenced to 50 years in prison. Last 2 seasons to focus on her ministry and advocacy for criminal justice. And in March, they ended up throwing out his case. Now that's after lockup, the social justice version. You figured this? Ron James, he has never been one to shy away from police brutality issues amongst the Black communities. And Sheriff Alex Villanueva challenged him to match $1 million reward for the gunman that shot 2 LA County deputies. I would give an opinion on this, but I digress.
I got nothing.
Naomi Osaka wins the U.S. Open and 3rd Grand Slam on Saturday. This after she dropped out of the Western and Southern Open semifinal tournament to protest against brutality. She is one of the world's top tennis players and one of the highest single earners of all time, and she's only 22. And on this last note, radio host Dan McNeil was fired after making asshole remarks about our sister girl, ESPN reporter Maria Taylor, stating her outfit was more fitting for an adult video news channel than NFL sidelines. Exactly. Well, Danny Boy is no longer an employee at the Score, so now he got time to watch our hostess with the mostest do her thing, and her final sound off was, "Hey ladies, you can wear whatever you feel confident in." I know that's right. Go ahead. We had a line of sisters doing their thing on our honorable mention, and we salute y'all. That's all I got, B Stone.
Hey, I like it. So can we get into our hot topic today?
Yes. Look, I'm feeling spicy today, so I'm about to bring the news to y'all. So I want to talk about what's going on with all these relationships and things. Every time you turn around, there's a celebrity on some craziness. I want to talk about mutual toxic relationships, okay? You know, the kind where the man and the woman are both responsible for the issues? Why is it that society tends to hold the man more accountable than the woman for their actions?
Well, I think it's like a double standard. And I think it's actually a terrible double standard. Especially from someone who's been on both ends. You know what I mean? I've been the toxic and the non-toxic. And you know, I've been in abusive relationships, and you know, I've held a hand in it as well. And the sad part is, you know, women think it's okay to get all up in a man's face, and they're not supposed to respond or react because they're supposed to be these bionic people. But at some point, somebody's emotions is going to come into play, and it's not going to turn out well for the woman because we're physically weaker than a man. You know what I mean? It's like you could take a 120-pound man and he's still gonna whoop your ass if you like 220. You have 100 pounds on him. But the
So
reality is, no, I was gonna say the reality is everybody needs to keep their hands off of each other. And as I got old, you know, these are things that happened that I've done when I was much younger. But then when I had to, because I had to start looking at myself and being like, okay, this responsibility can't fall all on the man. What am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? So you have to start looking at yourself first. And then once I did that, I was able to evaluate. And it's like, no, you call me out my name, that's a no. We not gonna rock. You push me, we not gonna rock. You can't keep giving these men chances after chances because that's what's gonna be the norm. You know what I mean? And then at a certain point, a woman goes, okay, well, I'm gonna start fighting back. And that doesn't solve anything either. So it was like I was watching Tahiri on Marriage Boot Camp, and she was like wailing apples at Vado. Now she should have been pulled to the side immediately, and that should have been like, we are not tolerating that shit at all, because the minute that he decides to respond, he's wrong.
And that's exactly what happened. But you did make a comment saying, like, when the woman decides to fight back. But we're not regarding situations where the woman might be the only one putting the hands on it. You know, she might not be fighting back. She just might be the initiator, the fighter.
And you know what's sad about that too, Miss Phenom? It's like, it's almost acceptable. You know,
yeah,
so the man has to go, and he has to go and he has to tuck his.
Everyone was laughing at him.
Right, and he has to go and tuck his tail between his legs and suck it up. You know, but oftentimes I equate it to, because I used to be a school teacher for a while, and I equate it to children, and there'd be children getting under my skin, but I was wise enough to know that these children have issues way beyond me. So I think sometimes we look at men and go, okay, you need to recognize that this woman is emotional and walk away. But sometimes it's not that easy.
I want to know how men feel with the situation, because I feel like their voice never gets heard. They get lost in the shuffle because we're always catering to the woman about her feelings. And we always assume the woman is the victim when be part of the toxicity. So we're going to get our third opinion on.
Yeah.
Holler at a couple of our guests who can help us see how they feel. Now we have to bring back one of our guests because he just was so controversial that we loved it, and we want to see how he feels about this particular topic as well. And then we also got a newcomer who I feel like will shed some good light on this situation as well. Let's see what's going on with our peoples.
Yeah.
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to the Question and Culture podcast. I hope you got your pleasures as you come and vibe with us today. Introduce yourselves for us real quick. Let the people know who you are.
Well, I'm Frank Nitty. I'm from Philly.
Broad Street bully?
Nah, I'm not a Broad Street bully. I'm too old for them gangs. I'm an old man. But I'm here kicking it with my girls today.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
And I'm Brian. I'm based out in Brooklyn. By Wingate Park, if anybody's familiar. That's where I'm from.
All right, Wingate, what up?
Yep.
If you want to keep the most part of the calisthenics crew getting the workout, so we feel the vibes, follow them, yo. They get the trainer.
A little bit.
We wanted y'all on the show today because we had something that we want to talk about that we feel like the male's voice gets lost in the ocean because the woman usually takes precedence in a situation. So our conversation is about mutual toxic relationships, when both the man and the woman are accountable for the issues within a relationship. Why do you think it is that society tends to hold the man accountable? It tends to more so disregard the actions of women, whether they're physical, verbal abuse. They can man, and the man, you know, just have to chalk it up, and you get laughed at if you complain about it. But if a man does anything remotely, you know, harmful to a woman, you're getting all the smoke. Brian mentioned Tahiri and Vado when Tahiri threw all those apples at him on the show, and they did nothing to him, you know what I'm saying? But his reaction was to yoke up, and he got reprimanded. Rightfully so. He should have got some type of accountability too, like things of that nature. Why do you think society is just so easy to disregard women's actions with that?
Frank, you want to go first?
Me? You want me to go first?
Y'all both scared to answer? This is your time to let us know.
Not at all. I don't want my answer to sound in any way like hateful or like I'm going against women in general, but I'm just
Sir, you are here to speak your mind.
I'm just going to say some things.
You're here to
society
speak your
doesn't hold women accountable for anything they do. Violence is just on the list of things they don't hold you accountable for. A woman has to be like extremely horrific in her actions to be even held somewhat accountable or even held to somewhat of a standard or anything. So that's just nothing new. It's like they treat women like children in a sense. It's like you could just brush it off. But no, women are dangerous people too. We just don't get to say it out there. It's like, it's either we live in a monarchy or we just don't understand what's going on.
I want to know some of those other things that we're not held accountable for, though.
Oh, let's see. Besides the violence, let's say I think I spoke to you. We mentioned it last time. If a woman could say a man touched her, raped her, in any situation. But even if it's like it's proved innocent, what happens to her in that situation?
Nothing. Can you give me another example?
One. Children. In a situation with children, you're fully autonomous. You have all the rights, powers, and situation in that whole process.
I agree.
But the man is still a deadbeat if he gets beat down into that situation. Not the woman for holding him back in that situation. It's no way. Put it like this: when a man murders somebody, he's a monster. When a woman murders somebody, they say, "What did he do to her?" It's just the way we see things. I don't know how. I don't even know why. But I just came up with, hey, it's either we treat you like children or we just really don't care. Like we brush y'all off.
Okay, Brian.
Well, men are all right. So men are naturally stronger than some men are. And men are expected to be the thinkers of our society. You know, they're expected to be providers, protectors. So men are held accountable, especially in situations like that, when like domestic violence or domestic abuse within the household, because they're held at a higher prestige, a higher standard in regards to just society. You know, so it's a lot of pressure on us, you know, to keep our cool. You definitely, as a man, I feel like you do need to understand that the perception speaks volumes, especially on how you carry yourself. If you do want to come off as a protector, a provider, you need to learn the tools on how to not put yourself in a situation that can jam you up. You get what I'm saying? So that's my answer on that.
But sometimes I don't think that, you know, you say not put yourself in a situation. I don't think men put themselves in situations necessarily all the time. Sometimes women just fly off the handle. I mean, we have our reasons why we do shit all the time. A lot of times we make up shit in our head too, or we're just bad communicators because, like I was saying before, I played both ends. So I was the aggressor and the one receiving as well in a couple of relationships, but I had to go back and change my thought process and change who I was hanging around and the actions that I was doing.
How do you feel? I don't know if you've seen it, but when you see situations where, for instance, Joe Buttons with Tahiri, where she in so many abusive situations, she forgot the person who broke her nose. So she went into a conversation and was just like, oh, it was Joe. And then it wasn't Joe. And then it's like, oh damn, but she could have just said that, and if there were no receipts, people would have just been like, oh, okay, that's what happened. But if a man was like, you know, if you try to say, yo, my girl hit me, be like, man, yo, go ahead. Like, how does that make a man feel like, also with the concept of men show sensitivity, men are not supposed to show emotions. Like, I feel like those are the small little seeds that
those
accumulate
things.
this concept of a man not being able to be sensitive and emotional, because they always have to be a wall. No matter what, society has created you to be a wall, and then we get upset when you don't interact with your woman in a sensitive way. So it's a big conundrum for, I feel like, men to be in. And I just really just realized that just as I'm talking to you. So I was like, how does that feel when you're in a relationship balancing your sensitivity with your masculinity?
Yeah. Frank?
I don't really have that issue.
Oh, you can be sensitive?
I am who I am. I'm not sensitive, but I am who I am. When I need to express a certain emotion, I express it. I never had that wall up where, oh man, can't cry. I don't cry for situations that's not cryable, but it's like it's certain things that would make me cry, not everything. So I don't expect that type of emotion. I get a lot of females that say, well, you have none. I said, no, you just didn't pull those out of me. It's not that I don't have them. It's just certain situations won't get those. So, but as far as the feeling about it, I was raised that way. So it's not a feeling. I don't think about it like that. So it's nothing. I never had to. I never had to cope with that emotion, like in the dark. So when like, oh my God, I wish I was more like. I was raised this way, but I had men in my life too. So it wasn't like it was a big thought, like a big downplay on how I had to do things. It was always there.
What do I have to say about that? So a little background on me. I at the age of 26, I'm 34. I'll be 34 in October. But at the age of 26, I decided to, I was actually forced, you could say, or recommended to go see a psychologist because I was trying to become a police officer. That didn't work out. I ended up trying to appeal their decision. Once I appealed it, so basically they disqualified me for the psychological. I tried to appeal it. They said, in order to appeal it, you got to go see a psychologist. Luckily, at the time, I was a personal trainer, and my client was a forensic psychologist. So he actually creates the test, which gave me an opportunity to actually be the first male in my household to seek professional help. And it wasn't something crazy. I wasn't like going out of my mind. I just didn't fit the criteria for NYPD. And with that whole experience, a lot of things came up. I kind of understood all different angles of not only toxic relationships, but even friendships and environments. I understood things from a different level. So my answers might be a little bit colorful, but to answer that question, men, when I had said that you need to learn how to see certain things, right, before it comes your way. And what I mean by that is men don't really understand their value. Some women don't understand their value. So in my current situation, if I see certain traits that I know can turn into a forest fire, the borders go up. And not the wall, the borders. I have to create my borders. I have to create my space. I have to show you my value, because nothing is more important than my freedom. So if there's no relationship, there's no pussy, there's no money, there's no nothing that will make me compromise my freedom. You get what I'm saying? So at this point, what I would suggest is, in that situation with Tahiri and Joe Budden, they didn't have the tools. They didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the education. They didn't have the understanding of what was going on. They knew that they loved each other, but they didn't know how and why they were loving each other. They just jumped in, and then when it got bad, they dealt with it. They dealt with it the best.
Sparks fly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When I was making the point, like when I was younger, and I was on both ends, a lot of the issues that I had basically boiled down to communication. You know what I mean? And that was it. I wasn't able to express myself. I wasn't able to express my vulnerability. So the older that I got and the more vulnerable I got, it was easier for me to say, this is what's making me upset, knowing when to talk about it, knowing when to let shit go, not addressing things when I was angry or the other person was angry. And then it turns into something, because even with the the Tahiri and Vado thing, as you could see, she was antagonizing and he was just being quiet. He was being quiet and he was drinking. And then it was almost like, then she hit him with the apples. Again, she doesn't know how to fucking communicate. As a grown ass woman, you don't know how to communicate. So you're acting like a child. You're buzzing him with the thing. He's trying to, you know, be like, okay, chill out. I'm not buzzing you. But then it becomes communication, because he didn't seem like the biggest communicator either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then it just turns to anger. And I think once you become aware, knowledge of self, and you start understanding different things about you, then that's when change comes. But when you're always playing the victim, and you made a great point, the borders go up. So before you guys came up, before you guys came on, I said, I know now as a grown woman, you can't call me a bitch. That's a red flag. Because once that flies, then other shit will fly. You know, and you allowed yourself to be disrespected at that point. So you made a great point with that, and I was feeling that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, again, like it's very common. It's weird. I was in a toxic relationship prior to the one I'm in now, and it was weird because I had all of this knowledge, and my biggest thing was I was trying to help. I was literally trying to help. I can clearly recognize that this person was, in need of help, and to some degree, I mean, I suggested therapy, but for some reason, when the person denies therapy or looks at you as you're not credible, I started to become, what she was used to. And
because you go back into your way.
And you know what? More, like you said, when someone calls you a bitch, it's a trigger for you. You know what I mean? I'm in school for psychology. I'm in school. I have a certification in therapeutic crisis intervention. All of this happened because of that particular, experience. Wow. I decided to learn more about human behavior, narcissistic behavior, borderline personality disorders. I decided to learn these things. And again, I had to check myself. So I went back to my therapist after that toxic relationship. And I swear to God, I wanted to discuss all of the things that she did wrong. And I said, you know what? I can't do that because I did 18 months with her. So I went to him.
What was it about you that stayed?
Yeah.
Check yourself first.
The question was, I don't want to come here and complain about her because I already recognized that she needed help. I just want to know, what am I doing to not attract that energy again? And he said, nah, that's a great question. What am I doing that's attracting that energy? And it came down to three things. One, Brian, you're naive. And I'm like, really? He said, yo, you're the type of that sees the good in people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they see the good in you. Two, you don't have to be a Captain Save-A-Ho. Some people are beyond your tools. Some people are literally beyond your tools. But the fighter in us, right? The person that's there's that little thing in us that says, you know what, my ego won't let me go. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna see this transition. I'm gonna be there because I want to take the credit for it. No, you don't have to. It's beyond you. And lastly, number three, he said, I want you to brace yourself for this. And I said, go ahead. He said, you're not educated. And I said, what? I'm not that you're not intelligent. You're just not educated on personality disorders, borderline personality disorders, narcissistic, malignant narcissistic disorders, behavior disorders, psychological disorders. You don't know these things. So you, as an empty vessel, are inserting yourself with these people who have these underlying disorders, and you're trying to love them. It's almost impossible. It's like trying to fit a key in a lock that don't fit.
Facts. And I totally agree with you, Brian, because relationships that I'm speaking on, mental health disorder, mental health issues. And I'm like, I don't fucking have that. So when you start, so when you step back, you actually decide to go and you start to pull from a different pond of people, and it's fulfilling. And I mean, life can't get any better. Leave the toxic people.
But beyond looking at a different pond, like for me, I stopped, like, I don't know, when I got more into my spiritual bag, it's more spiritual. Like for you, it was psychology. For me, it was spirituality. And I wanted to learn, once I learned about my personal issues, it gave me the grace to be like, okay, I'm going to stop looking at what people do and why they do it. Because I had to look at what I was doing and I was like, well, why do I do those things? And I'm doing it like you. So there's things that's going on with you that instead of looking at you doing it, just like, who hurt you? What's up? Let's talk about it. Because I understood this was a situation bigger than me. I may not know all the, psychological, issues, but I do have a good level of emotional intelligence where I'm able to speak with people of all different backgrounds and understand where they're coming from. Because I know we all have, no matter where we come from, there's a similar line with all of the people that you attract. Because you're attracting for a reason. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at somebody with an issue, there's probably something in you that reflects that too.
You attract what you are.
Yeah.
You attract what you are. Yeah.
Or you're attracted to it.
Right. Yeah.
In the sense of it, it's like.
So this toxicity, it sounds like it all comes down to, it's not about society holding the man or woman accountable or the man more accountable. It's just, we got to get to a point where we're so knowledgeable of self and understanding that we're able to remove ourselves from situations that are not healthy for us, and also be able to understand that, let our ego go aside and understand that these situations are bigger than us. So we don't always have to react because the other one is toxic, more so. You know what I'm saying?
Well, on that note, gentlemen, we actually have to let you go. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate you coming through. And we have more topics that we need to talk about, though.
So we appreciate y'all for real.
No doubt. Thank you for inviting me.
Definitely. So we will talk to you later because we're about to move on to our next segment.
Thanks, gentlemen. Take care.
Hey, have a good night, y'all.
You too, sir. All right, yo, that was a dope segment. That really, I didn't even know we were going to go today, but I appreciate all of those two gentlemen who intellectually and beautifully, articulated their emotions and feelings on the concept.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move into our next segment, Shameless Plugs. Hey. So tonight, my shameless plug is some dope brothers, and they actually, one of them is my cousin. All right,
okay.
Big shout out to him, Black Excellence. And these gentlemen actually have a pretty dope podcast. It's called the Beam Me Up Podcast, and it's B.E.A.M. Me Up Podcast, and it's streaming on all platforms. So go to your Apple Music or your Spotify and go check out their podcast. What's dope about their podcast is they talk about all things comic and all things anime culture.
Oh,
so that's something different because I don't know a lot of brothers doing that shit now.
I like it.
I love it. So yeah, it's the Beam Me Up Podcast, and again, you can check it on all streaming platforms.
That's what's up. And we must be on the same wave. I swear you my soulmate for real, because my shameless plug is definitely shamelessly bigging up my cousin, who's entrepreneuring with Sparkle Glam Glitz. Okay, she is doing the nails, but this is different. If you don't got time, it's literally real nail polish, and you put it on your nails, and you take it off with nail polish remover. It is dope. I definitely am gonna get me some, because when I can't make it to the nail salon, or I need a quick the Sparkle Glam Glitz Color Street Nails is where it's at. So I'm gonna need y'all to get up on it because it's the new wave. Get some stock in it. You feel me?
All right, what's your tag, shorty?
Oh, we out here. I know y'all don't want us to leave, but we gotta go. So I'm gonna leave y'all with what I always leave y'all. The trust and loyalty is earned. Protect energy, people.
Yo, peace.
Ready, so I never have to get ready every few weeks. got a tendency to get petty. Share friends, I done had plenty. What's love got to do if jealous ones still envy? My circle tight like Ben Wall. Even on IG, still wouldn't friend y'all. When you a big deal, the hate be so real. Some days a hot head, my neck be so chill. Came out the projects, the Ville, the B is that. Pick up the litter, I ain't talking about tidy cat. No one can tame me, game done changed up. Got the large picture, mind frame changed up for real. I be on the low, I don't talk a lot. You talk more shit than the beauty shop. We can get it poppin' like the parking lot. We can get it poppin' like the parking lot.